Head coach Stephanie White is so against Caitlin Clark.
People look at this picture and they say Clark is getting an early start on recruiting.
The cat is out the bag.
This team doesn't go anywhere without Caitlin Clark being Caitlin.
Her confidence has been destroyed.
It's very, very clear that Stephanie White is not the right coach for Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark has reached her limit, and she's not staying silent anymore. After weeks of being boxed in by a coaching staff that stifles her and teammates who can't match her style,
she sees that the Indiana Fever need help with getting players. They don't think she's worthy of building around.
she's stepping forward and demanding a transformation in Indiana. From confronting the betrayal to reshaping the roster around her vision, Caitlin is taking matters into her own hands. If you stand 100% with Caitlin, go ahead and type 100% in the comments right now.
There's one person in this league that when she walks in the building, when she walks in the room, the owners see dollar signs. There's only one person, and her name's Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark didn't enter the WNBA just to blend in. She arrived as a once-in-a-generation phenomenon. The NCAA's all-time top scorer, a long-range sniper with court vision that's unmatched in today's game. She should have been unleashed to transform the Indiana Fever. But instead, the opposite happened. Not because of elite defenders or the pressure of the pros, but because of her own coach.
Stephanie White is so against Caitlin Clark. It's clear as day, and it's very much clear as day that this front office dropped the ball in hiring her.
Stephanie White is not the right coach for Caitlin Clark. We are going to question Stephanie White's ability to specifically coach Caitlin Clark.
Game after game, a frustrating pattern has emerged. Caitlin lights up the scoreboard, draining back-to-back three-pointers, swinging momentum, electrifying fans, and then like clockwork, she vanishes from the offense. Not because she's cooled off, but because she's been ordered to stop shooting.
And this is the game where Caitlin Clark hit five threes in the first half. This is the game where Caitlin was on like an all-time heater, and then randomly, she just stopped shooting.
The clearest example came in the game against the Liberty. She nailed 5 threes in the first half. Then in the second, barely got a look.
If I have 2 back-to-back in a row, like I'm probably going to launch a third that maybe isn't advised by Steph, but like I got to get it up. And then if the third goes in, like you're just hot. I think as a shooter, like your confidence just builds and builds and builds. It's just coming off your hand better. The rim looks big.
And she later admitted it, that while most players are encouraged to stay aggressive when they're hot, she was told to hold back, not to take over, not to be herself, just to run the system and fit in. That's not strategy. That's suppression. This isn't a guess.
Caitlin Clark went on Sue Bird podcast and dropped major gems, bro. She let it be known that Stephanie White do not want her to shoot threes.
Caitlin herself subtly addressed it on a podcast, voicing her concerns without naming names. Her words were measured, but the message came through clearly.
So professionally, like that Liberty game, I feel like as a shooter, like when you see like 2 or 3 go in, especially like for me, like if I have 2 back-to-back in a row, like I'm probably going to launch a third that maybe isn't advised by Steph, but like I got to get it up. And then if the third goes in, like you're just hot. I think as a shooter, like your confidence just builds and builds and builds. It's just coming off your hand.
She's not being allowed to play her game. She's being asked to follow a script that wasn't written for her. This goes deeper than shot selection. It's about her basketball identity.
League are not ready for that style. They're not ready for that up and down.
Caitlin thrives on instincts, reacting to the game in real time, seeing plays develop before anyone else does. That's what made her legendary at Iowa.
She sees the game 10 steps ahead, okay? Her spatial awareness is next level.
Not just her shooting range, but her ability to dictate pace, improvise, and make magic in chaos. That's what fans expect. That's what sells out arenas. But instead of embracing that, head coach Stephanie White has forced her into a rigid system that dulls her brilliance. A slow, methodical offense where Caitlin is just another piece, not the engine. What's worse?
You have got to let Caitlin be Caitlin. Caitlin went and hit those 3 threes in 30-something seconds.
It's starting to show in Caitlin's confidence. She hesitates on shots she would have launched without thinking in college. She pump fakes, second guesses, glances at the sideline for approval. That's not the fearless, take no prisoners Caitlin Clark fans love. That's a player stuck between instinct and instruction, frozen by a coach who doesn't trust her to lead. Coach White had a choice. Let Caitlin play freely and dominate, or try to mold her into something else. She chose control. She chose structure over freedom, a playbook over potential. And now we're watching that decision backfire in real time.
Where she was like wide open on the three-point line. She like pump faked and like nearly turned it over. I think she did turn it over because she was scared to shoot the ball.
Because this isn't just a tactical error, it's a betrayal. A betrayal of Caitlin's ability, her future, and everything she represents for the WNBA's next chapter.
We can't see Caitlin Clark second-guessing jump shots. Like, that's not good.
And Caitlin sees it clearly. She may not be saying it in post-game interviews, but her body language, her changed demeanor, and her quiet resistance all send the same message. This can't go on. Something must give. And it starts with the person holding the clipboard.
Stephanie White will be the reason Caitlin Clark is the reason they lose so many fans. I think Stephanie White in general, there has to be some sort of an ultimatum.
While coaching has clearly been a major hurdle for Caitlin Clark, the problems in Indiana stretch far beyond the bench. The roster built around her doesn't align with her style of play, and it shows in every game. The losses aren't just piling up, they're revealing something deeper. This team was never constructed with her in mind. Caitlin wasn't brought in to be a complementary piece, she is the system. But so far, the organization has failed to build a team that fits her blueprint. Let's start with the basketball IQ gap. At Iowa, Caitlin thrived in a system where her teammates understood spacing, timing, and unselfish movement.
Indiana Fever players have low IQ, basketball IQ. They don't understand the game.
Everyone knew their role and executed it with precision. In Indiana, that rhythm is missing. Too often, her teammates make poor reads, miss open cutters, and kill possessions with forced shots or aimless dribbling. It's not that they lack talent. It's that they're not built to play the fast, intuitive game that elevates Caitlin's performance.
Aaliyah is great playing off of Caitlin. She can make good decisions when Caitlin draws both defenders, passes to Aaliyah. Now it's Aaliyah plus 3 other Fever members against 3 defenders. Aaliyah can make the right decision.
There are glimpses of chemistry, though. Aaliyah Boston has been a bright spot. Someone who understands how to operate off of Caitlin's gravity. When defenses collapse on Clark, Boston finds open lanes, makes timely cuts, and delivers under the rim.
Lexi, Sophie, similar. But the rest of them, they're just not, there's no way you can recreate Iowa with that.
Role players like Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham have also played well within their limits, hustling, defending, and moving off the ball. But outside of this small core, the rest of the roster hasn't adjusted, and some are clearly resistant to doing so.
Kelsey Mitchell, she's struggling relinquishing that to Caitlin. Kelsey is not, you can't recreate Iowa with Kelsey.
Take Kelsey Mitchell, for example. A longtime scorer for the Fever, she's used to being the go-to option. Now with Caitlin in town, the spotlight has shifted, and the change hasn't been smooth. Mitchell often stalls the offense by calling her own number in isolation, breaking the flow when Caitlin is building momentum. She'll wave off passes in transition, take contested shots early in the clock, and disrupt spacing. Whether it's ego, habit, or a clash in play styles, the tension is visible, and it's hurting the team. But the issue goes even deeper. Indiana lacks the culture of a team centered around a true star. At Iowa, Caitlin had teammates who wanted to make her better. Players who set hard screens, moved constantly, and created space to let her cook. In Indiana, possessions often devolve into confusion. Players stand still, screens are mistimed or non-existent, and floor spacing collapses. The result? Caitlin ends up dribbling late into the shot clock, forced to create something from nothing. And perhaps the clearest sign that Indiana doesn't truly get it? Their decision-making during the draft. Caitlin's Iowa teammate, Kate Martin, was right there. A trusted partner who knew her game inside and out. A natural fit to help ease the transition to the WNBA. Instead of picking her, the Fever chose players who didn't even make it through camp. That wasn't just a bad basketball decision. It was a signal. A sign they weren't thinking about what Caitlin needed, but rather sticking to a vision that ignored her altogether. Even more concerning, signs of division are showing behind the scenes. In a recent team protest event, None of Caitlin's close teammates participated. This wasn't about scheduling, it was symbolic. A visible crack in team unity. One side representing the old guard. Players loyal to the way things were. The other, Caitlin, the new face of the franchise, seemingly kept at arm's length.
The players that she was most effective around didn't have huge egos, and they had IIQs.
Meanwhile, the front office sends mixed messages. Publicly, they celebrate Caitlin. They use her image for marketing, sell out arenas thanks to her name, and ride the media buzz. But when it comes to personnel decisions, they play it safe. They lean on familiarity instead of surrounding their generational talent with players who enhance her strengths. They're happy to profit from her stardom, but unwilling to empower her as a leader. Here's the truth. Caitlin Clark isn't just another promising rookie. She's a revolution in motion. Her vision, pace, and instincts are built to redefine how women's basketball is played and watched. Everyone sees it. The fans, the broadcasters, the opponents. Everyone except the people running her own team. And if this neglect continues, if they keep forcing her into a system that doesn't move at her speed, with players who can't sync with her vision, Indiana risks wasting something rare. Because this isn't about personal stats. It's about alignment. And right now, Caitlin Clark is playing in a system that doesn't reflect her greatness, and she knows it. She may not be saying it out loud, but her actions, decisions, and relationships outside that locker room make one thing very clear. If Indiana won't rise to her level, she'll find another way to rise without them.
Bring in girls that know how to set a screen and are happy to set a screen. Looking for Caitlin all day long.
Caitlin Clark isn't ranting online. She's not throwing tantrums in press conferences or demanding a trade in public. But don't mistake her silence for passivity. It's deliberate. Behind the scenes, she's laying the groundwork to reshape her reality in Indiana or walk away from it entirely. What she's doing isn't loud, but it's loud enough if you're paying attention. This is a player who's always been strategic, and now every move she makes is part of a bigger plan, to take back control. Take the moment that sparked headlines. A photo of Caitlin and Sabrina Ionescu side by side, laughing and talking during All-Star Weekend.
A team on the up and up, this exciting team that was ran by one player, and a coach, it's sounding like a coach actively trying to stop what the player does well, what the fans want to see.
On the surface, it looked like two star players bonding. But to those paying attention, it was something else, a signal. Sabrina has found a team that plays to her strengths, that gives her freedom and respect. Caitlin, meanwhile, is stuck trying to fit into a system that dulls everything that makes her special. Their chemistry isn't just friendly, it's basketball synergy. And Caitlin spending more time with players like Sabrina than with her own teammates says a lot. That's not random. That's calculated. Because Caitlin knows the truth now. This Fever roster isn't designed for her success. The coaching staff isn't backing her evolution. And the front office seems more interested in optics than outcomes. So she's doing what great players always do. Finding people who understand the game the way she does. Not stars trying to protect their spotlight, but teammates who cut hard, move without the ball, and elevate everyone around them.
The cat is out the bag.
People look at this picture and they say Clark is getting an early start on recruiting.
Head coach Stephanie White is so against Caitlin Clark. She's getting battered night in, night out, pushed around, battered.
Her confidence has been destroyed by coaches. Recreate Iowa. Build a new team around her.
People who don't fight the system, but fit the vision. This approach isn't new for Caitlin. At Iowa, her success was built on trust, on teammates who knew their jobs and carried them out without ego. They didn't just run plays, they moved with purpose, cleared space, and let her lead. That harmony came from repetition and belief. What she's experiencing in Indiana is the opposite, and she's not trying to fix it by forcing change. She's simply outgrowing it. Then there's the all-star protest moment, a high-profile show of unity from most of the league's stars, wearing matching shirts in solidarity. And yet none of Caitlin's closest allies were present.
She sees that the Indiana Fever need help with getting players. They're not good at it. They don't think she's a star. They don't think she's worthy of building around. They don't think she's worthy of consulting.
That absence wasn't a scheduling issue. It was a statement. a quiet separation from a movement that doesn't feel aligned with her. She's not following the crowd, especially when the crowd hasn't made room for her. She's setting her own path, defining her own values, and making it clear that she won't be boxed into someone else's agenda. Even her on-court behavior has shifted. She no longer reacts when a teammate misses her on a fast break. She stays silent when benched during critical stretches. She doesn't argue when plays break down and she's stuck in the corner, out of rhythm. That stillness isn't surrender, it's observation. She's watching who supports her, who gets in her way, and who treats her like a threat instead of an asset. Every play is a data point. Every quiet moment is her taking inventory of who she can trust. And what about the front office? Caitlin hasn't forgotten that they passed on Kate Martin, her most trusted teammate, someone who already understood her game inside and out.
Caitlin either need to get the hell out of Indy.
Because it's very, very clear that Stephanie White is not the right coach for Caitlin Clark.
Stephanie White do not want Caitlin Clark to shoot the ball.
If I have 2 back-to-back in a row, like I'm probably going to launch a third. Your confidence just builds.
This team doesn't go anywhere without Caitlin Clark being Caitlin.
There's so many things that are going wrong right now in Indiana with how this Caitlin Clark shit has been working out, and it's one thing after the other.
Instead, they drafted a player who didn't even survive training camp. That wasn't just a roster decision. That was a message. We're not building around you. And Caitlin got the message loud and clear. It's even more glaring when you consider how much they've used her image. Caitlin Clark sells out arenas. She drives ratings. She brings eyes to a league that's finally entering the spotlight. The Fever cash in on that every single day. But when it's time to invest in her with the right players and staff, they pull back. They want the perks of having Caitlin Clark, but not the responsibility of actually supporting her vision. And that's where things get dangerous, because Caitlin sees the politics. She knows when she's being exploited. She understands when she's being asked to carry the load without being given the tools to succeed. And instead of fighting fire with fire, she's building a different kind of answer, her own future.
Recreate Iowa. Don't weave her into a 6 in 2014. Build a new team around her.
What we're witnessing isn't just frustration, it's strategy. Caitlin Clark is positioning herself for power, whether that means pushing the Fever to revamp the roster, forcing changes in leadership, or eventually requesting a move to a franchise that will build around her. The foundation is already being laid. Make no mistake. She's the driving force behind the league's explosion in popularity. She's the reason casual fans are tuning in. And she's not about to let her rise get buried under a system that doesn't see her clearly. If Indiana doesn't evolve fast, Caitlin won't just ask for change. She'll be the change elsewhere. Because Caitlin Clark isn't just a rookie. She's a movement. And movements don't wait for permission.
Very, very clear. She was hurt.
You just don't allow it to recover. You keep throwing her ass back out there. She keeps telling you she's good.
Caitlin Clark isn't asking nicely. She's not seeking approval. She's sending a clear signal. With every possession, every glance at the bench, every moment she chooses to not conform. Her coach tried to shrink her game. Her teammates failed to adjust. And the front office underestimated her influence. But Caitlin isn't here to play along. She's here to lead. And she's making it known. Either the Fever step up and rebuild everything around her, or she'll walk away and find a franchise that will.
Your coach keeps lying and calling it a day-to-day situation.
But in any case, it's not day-to-day.
This isn't a cry for help. It's a shift in power. A new era where the star refuses to be managed, marketed, or muted. Caitlin Clark didn't come to the WNBA to be molded into a role player. She came to change the game, and she's already doing it, on her terms. Because the future doesn't ask for permission, it demands it. And Caitlin Clark is already rewriting the rules.